Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel. I have had a bunch of video responses I've been wanting to film for forever, and I just keep not making the time for them. So I'm sitting down to film a couple of them today. I don't know when these will go up on my channel. They'll go up when you see them. But I really wanted to start with the Be Kind hashtag by the beautiful Lupa Moon. I will try to remember to link it up in the cards, her original video, but I will definitely have it linked in the description box down below. Her original video is very, very well worth a watch. It was beautifully done, and I thought this was just a fantastic hashtag to sweep the tarot community, so I'm really excited to see it here. And I also wanted to give a special shout out to Strength Reversed, who did a VR to this and talked about the difference between being nice and being kind. Kindness being, at least in my perspective, that sort of the compassion and the kindness that we show to others, versus niceness, which can kind of trap us into obligatory behaviors or the type of behaviors that maybe don't serve us, where we maybe overvalue other people's feelings over our own, and the importance of boundaries. And I think she even linked a really great little video by Danielle Laporte, which was called, if I remember correctly, Big Open Heart, Fierce Boundaries, or Fierce Big effing fence, or something along those lines. And if I remember, I will also link that down below, both Strength Reversed video and Danielle Laporte's. But it talked about the importance of, you can have this big open vulnerable heart, but you can also have boundaries and have barriers and look after yourself, right? And I thought that was really, really, really good. So I just wanted to shout that out because that made me extra excited to do this VR, because I think that's a really important distinction to make. Let's get into the prompts. So the first question is, what would or can you do to empower others? To me, this is like a twofold question. There's the things you do and the way for others, and then there's also the way that you treat yourself. And so when it comes to how you treat others and you want to empower others, to me, that's about letting people be who they are. It's about meeting them where they are. And I talk about this whole meeting others where they are and meeting yourself where you are a lot, because it's a really, really powerful concept to me. When I talk about meeting people where they are, whether it's you or somebody else, what I mean is there's a level of acceptance of going, okay, this is where you're at today in your journey, but this isn't the end. This isn't what defines you. This is where you're at in this moment. And when we meet people where they're at in this moment, we give them the opportunity to not only be grown-ups and make their own decisions about how they're going to move forward, but we also allow space for them to have their own experience. And I think this is really true for how we treat ourselves as well. When we meet ourselves where we are right now, we're saying, okay, this is where we're at, and we're not going to judge that. We're just going to be present with that, and then we're going to work from that place, instead of trying to, and I hope I'm expressing this well, but it's instead of trying to hold ourselves to a standard we're maybe not at yet or ever, we're saying this is where we are now and it's okay, and here's maybe where we want to be, so we're going to work in that direction, but you know, we don't have to be there right now. And to me, you then make space for baby steps, and for those baby steps feeling successful. So when we're treating ourselves with compassion, when we're treating ourselves in a way where we meet ourselves where we are, we're also empowering others to do the same for themselves. And I think this is really, really important when we talk about stuff like self-worth and self-care, which you guys know I'm super passionate about. But when we're talking about those topics specifically, if we are modeling having good boundaries, standing in our power, taking responsibility, being loving towards ourselves, putting our needs first, practicing good self-care, that is a powerful way to empower other people to do the same thing. And I found that again and again and again in my passion projects and in my work over the years around these topics, is that modeling treating ourselves well is one of the best ways you can help others learn to treat themselves well. And I think that's it is a core value for me, but it's also, I think, a cornerstone of helping other people feel good about themselves. And to me, that's like the most important thing. So when I'm interacting with other people on YouTube, I try to, as much as possible, go into spaces on YouTube where I can do this, first of all, but I try to let my guard down. I don't care if it sounds silly, if I'm being overexcited or over hyper, or if I fangirl on somebody on YouTube or whatever. I just kind of like let that be a thing, and it's okay. And in that way, I feel like there's a opportunity for genuine connection. I feel like I'm talking in circles, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go with that. I think there's an opportunity for genuine connection. And I think then you're sharing something real with somebody else who can then make their own decision about how that makes them feel. I don't know if that makes sense. It's kind of like, if me being overexcited and like silly in a comment on somebody's video, it's either going to be something they really, really enjoy, or it's going to be something they're like, but I'm letting them make that decision. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But at least in tangible actions, when we're talking about how we can empower other people on YouTube, I think a lot of it is just show your support. Watch the people's videos whose content you want to support, who as people you want to support. And when you watch those videos or you engage with those videos, if you feel called, at least this is how I feel, if you feel like you want to make a genuine comment about something, comment. If you don't feel like you have something to say, instead of making a comment out of obligation or something like that, like the video. Or maybe it spoke to you in a private way and you don't want to post that publicly, and maybe you reach out to them and say, hey, I really appreciated this video that you did on this topic. I've gotten all kinds of engagement from people who watch these videos on this channel, and I appreciate all of them. If you are just quietly watching and hitting the like button, that's awesome. If you're quietly watching and you decide to leave a comment, that's awesome. But I don't ever want anybody, at least who watches my content, to feel like not commenting is bad or somehow gonna hurt my feelings or is not supporting me, because just watching and being here and being present and engaging with the content you legitimately enjoy, that's what I want, right? I don't want you to comment because you feel like you're obligated to comment. And I think sometimes, especially in the YouTube sphere, we get into that place where we feel like, oh, if I like or support this person, I have to leave a comment. And while yes, engagement and comments do help channels to grow and to thrive, I want the growth and the thriving to come from a genuine place. So if it's not something you feel like you want to say publicly, say it privately. If you don't have anything to say, that's totally cool. And I think that's just something that we could all use a little reminder of every now and then. This is how I engage on YouTube. I want everybody to know that if I'm commenting on your video, it's because I feel genuinely called to say something. And sometimes I might say something in private, and sometimes I might say something in public. It all just depends, right? But I will say this, I do always hit the like button because I think that's an easy, silent way to show support. But again, I'm not gonna be the least bit upset or bothered if you don't click like on this video. I'm always gonna ask you to, because I used to be afraid to ask, and so that was me sort of stepping into away from my fear, I guess you could say. But I will never have my feelings hurt if you don't like a video, or even if you dislike a video, because whatever, you're allowed an opinion, I get it. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from on that. That was a long answer to that prompt, and now my phone fell asleep, so I've lost my other prompts. Let's see what the next prompt is. I did not pre-prepare for this video in any way, shape, or form. Okay, name someone on YouTube who has inspired you. Oh, okay, so the first person that comes to mind is Kellyanne Maddox. Kellyanne inspired me from the very, very beginning of me watching any kind of tarot or witchy content on YouTube, because I loved how she just directly addresses whatever topic she feels is going to be useful, and I think she does it in a really responsible way. She definitely inspires me, especially when I'm tackling topics around self-worth and around compassion and around self-love and self-care, because she has done a lot of content about that stuff too, and I respect the way she goes about it. And so that has really sort of given me a framework, I guess, to a standard maybe in a way to hold myself to. Not that I compare myself to her, more that I respect the fact that she does a great job of owning her own stuff while sharing this work. And that's the kind of like fierce vulnerability that I find incredibly inspiring and powerful. And it really, I think, creates a different kind of environment on YouTube. And that's the kind of environment that I also strive to create. Like, I want to be vulnerable in the ways that feel safe for me to be vulnerable in this space. I want to admit to you guys when I'm struggling. I want to also give you topics and tools that I've personally found helpful. And so in that way, she really shaped in a lot of ways my journey here. Other content creators that have inspired me include Mary Grace Faroon, who from the beginning on YouTube, from all the content I've watched, has very much gone her own way and done her own thing. And I respect and appreciate that so, so much. When you're on when you're on a platform like YouTube, it's really easy to start thinking your content needs to look a particular way in order for you to somehow be part of the club or whatever, and I think it can become a little bit samey if you don't really honor what you enjoy, the content you want to make. And this is what I've said to friends who have wanted to start YouTube channels or friends who do have YouTube channels, is that as long as you're making content that you genuinely enjoy making, or for me, I tend to make the kind of content I want to see because I know I'm going to enjoy making it because it's the kind of thing I would enjoy watching. I think that kind of creates a more genuinely enjoyable experience for you, the creator, on YouTube. And I think that other people then see that you're truly enjoying what you're doing and they gravitate to that because they want to see people having fun. I mean, I don't want to go on YouTube and watch somebody just kind of forcing their way through something or doing something out of obligation, because that tends to trigger me to behave similarly, to feel like I also need to be acting out of obligation. I hope that makes sense. There are a lot of people here on YouTube who do that very well, who go walk their own way, follow their own path, and they don't let that sort of pressure or perceived pressure shape the content they make. So all of y'all inspire me. 2 tarot channels that make you happy. Why 2 specifically? Tara over at Kittens, Weights, and Tarot constantly brings a smile to my face. She has this joy and light about her that I genuinely love and appreciate. And it's funny because I watch a ton of her content and I don't always comment because a lot of times she might be talking about decks that are not my taste or whatever, but I just love going to her channel and just watching her be happy and share her stuff. And I just think she does that in such an authentic and awesome way that is so her, and I just love that. So she always makes me happy to watch. I always am happy watching Dustin and Danny. I know that's 3. I know that's 3 channels, but Dustin and Danny are good friends, and there's something about watching people you know you're good friends with on YouTube, and I've made lots of friends on YouTube. But yeah, so I'm gonna say they make me happy, because yeah. And there's lots of people that make me happy. I'm trying to actually make a point now in my monthly favorites video of shouting out channels I've been enjoying, because there's so many. And I think it's really interesting when I look at my subscriber list, because I think sometimes we think that people with more subscribers are going to be people we want to watch more or something, and I don't think that's at all the case. When I look at my list of channels that I watch people religiously who have like 100 subscribers, and I watch people religiously who have like thousands of subscribers, and everything in between. I think it's just, for me, it's about finding the people who make me feel buoyed and make me feel like I'm having some sort of genuine interaction. I don't know if that makes sense. That's what I think about that. Oh, see, I should have prepped for this. What tarot card depicts kindness to you? Ooh, let me think. Kindness. I'm gonna say the 6 of Cups. And again, I didn't prep. So do I have a 6 of Cups nearby that I can show? Not that's not Marseille, because all my decks nearby right now are Marseille decks. I don't have anything to show. 6 of Cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith, you see an older child giving a younger child a gift, or receiving a gift from the younger child. You could see it in either direction. There's some sweetness and some nostalgia to that card, but there feels like there's an emotional sharing happening in that card. I think there's other cards where you see sort of generosity depicted, such as in the 6 of Pentacles, but in the 6 of Cups, there's this sweetness and purity to whatever interaction that you're seeing. And sometimes we think of that card as like the nostalgia card, but the reason it's a nostalgic card is because we think of moments in our life where we've experienced that sweetness or that purity or that compassion. And so I think that's a good card for kindness in the tarot. Yes. And what does kindness mean to you? I feel like I've definitely babbled about this quite a bit already. To me, being kind is a genuine, it's genuine. I keep wanting to use the word kind to define kindness. But genuineness? Authenticity? No, genuineness. Being genuine. Being genuine when you express something supportive to somebody else is a way of being kind. Again, I think being kind is about letting other people be who they are and accepting that. And also letting it be okay if the way this, let's say you meet somebody or you encounter somebody online or offline, and who they are just naturally doesn't gel with who you are. it's not unkind to not pursue a deeper relationship with that person or to move away from that person. That's not unkind. That's being genuine, being authentic, and honoring the fact that it's not your job to make that person somehow fit into your world. And it's also not your job to somehow make yourself fit into their world. And I spent years and years and years thinking that's what kindness was, that it was about not turning anybody away, and instead either forcing myself to fit, you know, square hole, round peg, or round peg, square hole, or however you say that. I think I just said the same thing backwards. Anyway, it's kind of like that. You can end up conforming yourself or being frustrated that the other person isn't being who you wish that they were. And in either case, you're either being unkind to yourself or you're being unkind to the other person. So to me, kindness really boils down to that idea of meeting yourself where you are and meeting other people where they are. And then moving forward from that knowledge in a really genuine and authentic way instead of trying to force something to fit that doesn't fit. So I think that's a big part of it for me. And I think it's also taking a breath and trying to remember that everybody is going through their own stuff. My favorite version of this piece of advice comes from a song by Amanda Marshall called Everybody Has a Story, or Everyone Has a Story, I think is what it's called. And the lyrics are beautiful. I'll try to remember to link or paste the lyrics down below, but it's literally about, you don't know what anybody's going through at any given time. Dustin says this at the end of his videos, everybody's fighting a battle you know nothing about, so be kind always. And to me, that's just remembering that everybody's got their own struggles. And sometimes if I used to do this all the time in customer service. I used to do phone customer service. You might get somebody who's really cranky. Well, maybe somebody in their life just died, or they're going through some really difficult stuff and you don't know what's happening there. So trying not to take things personally goes a long way. And that doesn't mean you have to put up with poor behavior. It just means that you can recognize, okay, it's not my fault that they're feeling this way or behaving this way. I don't have to deal any nastiness back. I can just step away. I can just move myself out of a situation that's unhealthy or uncomfortable. But sometimes a compassionate word, sometimes a smile, even when somebody looks really cranky, little things like that can go a long, long way. So I hope that that makes sense. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to Lupa Moon for this VR. It's been really, really enjoyable watching people's responses to this one, and that is what I've got to say about kindness. So the prompts will be down below. The hashtag is be kind, and I look forward to seeing more of these videos. I think this VR is still sort of percolating around, but I tend to be very slow to respond to these, so hopefully it's still out there, and if not, maybe we just gave it a little boost again. But I will talk to you all again in the next one. Bye!